power of love, the power of love. Come and listen to the stories that change the way that you see, the things that you hear will help you to feel empowered every day.
Hello and welcome to The Power of Love, exploring the most powerful force on earth. I'm Mia Saenz, I'm your host, and in this episode, we get to have and talk with Kate Houston. I adore Kate. I've known Kate for many, many years. And I got to know her because she got into love coaching and she was a librarian. And it was just, it's almost like a hidden thing. Like I expected her to pop out of the closet. She doesn't know this, but I expected her to pop out of the closet with leather boots on and a whip. And, it's like there's a duality there that we could really play with. So she's always fascinated me. And this is Kate. Welcome, Kate.
Thank you so much, Mia. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I know there's so many things with librarian and identity. And I gotta say, there was a piece of the identity of librarian, not necessarily whips and leather. Mind you, I have a good pair of boots that I love to wear. But it was really about me being in my head, taking and thinking that I had to succeed in life, being led by my reason and my thoughts and my intellect. And that's very much a masculine world. We're whether we're conscious or unconscious too, as women, a lot of how we enter careers, corporate, entrepreneur, whatever is from a masculine energy, which is wonderful in that we are getter-doners. But then it also, for me, I ended up bearing a lot of things and didn't know that that was just another step in leaning into a version of me that I thought I had to be versus who I was. Does that make sense?
It was part of your evolution of discovering the beauty, and most people are like, what are you talking about? The beauty of who you are. It is an amazing beauty when we get to understand ourselves and find that inner love, that inner peace, and push it out to the world. It is a beauty, isn't it?
It totally is. And and I like to say, instead of like so many times where, if you're studious and intellectual, you're thinking, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to learn? Well, so much of it is about the unlearning and letting go and surrendering and releasing, and then being very mindful and heartfelt about what we replace those things with.
So before we get into the topic of feelings, do you want to talk, because we brought it up a few times here, let's talk about women in their masculine and the gifts and or protection.
Yeah, so there's so much wonderful. For me, one of the things I knew that I think really got me into one of my limiting stories and beliefs was what was wrong with me. Now, everybody has different words and language, and getting underneath and naming your thing is the first step to releasing it. And oftentimes it's something right under our nose, but we can't see it. And that's why having support and mentors bring it forward with you is so critical, because it's buried unconsciously. So for me, it was what was wrong with me. I was bullied as a kid for several years, and there was nothing clearly wrong with me, but that kind of was a thread. So I kept proving, how can I prove myself as being, I'm going to be a better Kate, a bigger Kate, bigger personality, and so here I am, becoming these things, which part of me, it's authentic, and part of it was I was seeking a way of fitting in, right? And so here, whether it's the gold star, the valedictorian, the star pupil, the, get the promotion, it's all this external signs of you're okay, right? And I didn't even know that consciously, even though I was so sick of my bully story. You can be sick of your story and still have it affecting you.
Yeah.
And it's not that there's something big you need to release. It's just something is still there that's significant. So I like to talk about the masculine as a shield, because what I ended up doing is using it as a go, do more to succeed. And it became kind of an identity rather than a tool I could use and energy to move into and out of. And I would reason things away, which was just kind of how we lead into the feelings conversation. Is one of my very first recollections. And that doesn't have to be big T trauma. Let's say there's no hierarchy in trauma. Gabriel Mate says that. A lot of people say that. There's no hierarchy in it.
Mhm.
But for me, the thing that impacted was me. I adored my dad. And as a little girl, I was the apple of his eye. I'm still his little girl. Like I love my relationship with my dad. He worked long hours in a steel mill, 14-hour days, and I missed him. He just wasn't there. And I reasoned my feelings away by saying, well, he's doing this for our family so we can have a good living and have food on the table. So then I, covered up my feelings if I miss him and denied the feelings and didn't know that those things could coexist, even if they were conflicting in friction about them. So that was the beginning of me burying my feelings and letting reason push my feelings down. And I find this a lot with powerhouse women that I work with, because somewhere in our lives, we've had some experience or story where we made it okay so we could cover up our unmet need hurt with reason so we didn't have to feel the hurt. But if we're not allowing our feelings to flow through us, they're going to come back and bite us, right? It's like whiplash at the back of the roller coaster.
Yeah.
Whee!
Yeah. And it's like, no.
And you get the whiplash in the roller coaster relationships.
Yeah.
And it's unconsciously driving us because we're then seeking unconsciously that unmet need and the feelings to be soothed outside of ourselves. And then we're beaconing for something similar, another person with unmet needs, or burying their feelings, which was what happened to me in my first 2 marriages, right?
And I find this totally fascinating. So I want to hear about that, but I want to say one thing about feelings, and we'll be talking about feelings throughout this whole chat. I have that feeling. Yeah. Is I love feelings. I didn't used to love feelings because they hurt. And then doing the work, I was able to get through those harsh spaces to the lighter energy. And that felt really good. And then as you do the work, it's faster and faster to shift your feelings, your emotions. And so I love feelings, probably not before, but in the last 5, 6, 10 years, I've been able to really appreciate the word feeling, the word emotion, and see the love that can coexist between them. And of course, I choose to see it that way. But yeah, your story that you shared with me before that I've known you for years and I didn't know this, because I was remarking on what an amazing fun time that Kate has been having, and I've been enjoying and wooing her on through Facebook. Share your story, because it's your story and it's very powerful, and it shows us the depth of feelings and how to shift that into love.
I spent a long time feeling really harsh on myself over the failure of 2 marriages. And my first marriage ended after being together for 14 years, had little kids, had the dream house, dream life. And he sat me down one day. Remember, it was a Monday afternoon in the kitchen. He sat me down and he pulls out this sheet of paper to read from it, and he's shaking. And I'm like, because we had a great relationship. We're friends. We had jokes. We were lovers, all the things that like you want in a great relationship. And he was shaking. And then he looked at me and says, well, I'm gay. And then my whole world went tumbling. And for many years, I said, what's wrong with me? What did I do? And now I don't believe people, it's a choice. It's how you're born, and that we oppress that society ourselves. And then it took me years to unravel, realizing what was going on there. Did I think it was my masculine energy? Well, there was definitely probably some play in that too, about my controlling and critiquing and wanting to manage things. But I think too, the deeper thing was, oh my God, here's a person who was not in touch with his feelings and was not authentic with himself about how he really felt. And that was me. So of course, that's the kind of person I connected with. And then my second marriage, he had some deep childhood wounds that were definitely unhealed, and he was numbing with substances because he wasn't allowing himself to feel his feelings, and I was still not doing that. So it didn't have to be. I was looking, originally I was mining for some harsh, deep shadow of the soul story, when it was just, duh, you're not feeling your feelings. Oh, what does that mean? Well, what it really meant was to get behind the feelings, because feelings really are a moment. They're momentary, they wash over your body. But in what I teach and coach around is that we really do have a hot thought. It is so fast. That belief happens first, and it triggers the feelings that happen in the body and what we identify it as, whether it's anxiety, fear, anger. And like when somebody says, hey, you have purple hair, you have no reaction, no feeling. But if you had somebody say something to you that you somewhat believed consciously or unconsciously about yourself, it sends you into a well of feelings, because that belief is subconsciously triggering. Hey, touching your body, the feelings are awakening you to say, do something about this. It's not to run, freeze, fight. It's actually go deeper, go inward, find the belonging in you that you're not, that you've fractured yourself from. Integrate yourself, reconnect with things. Because like when you were saying feelings and not being in touch with feelings, for the longest time I was like, I only want good feelings, I don't want bad feelings. And I had an awakening when I realized there are no good and bad feelings, they're just feelings. I have undesirable ones, or ones that are hard to feel through because of the stories and connections, and we have so many subconscious hot thoughts that it's getting under them, naming them, putting words to them, because we're meaning making machines. That's why we love story. And when we can make meaning of the things that were unknown, that's when we can start to unravel and let them go and really feel things. And one of the things I think that we as women that are a powerhouse or got to get through it, or the single moms, and this is what I did, is I didn't let myself grieve. That's a feeling. And there's grieving we get to do daily. Sadness, we didn't complete something, or, oh, wow, I had a wonderful date with somebody at a 5-year-old. And I thought, do I want to date somebody? Do I want to raise another kid? My kids were teenagers. Like, oh, I had a reaction. I'm like, if I have a reaction, it's let's go in and see what's underneath that.
Yeah.
And I realized in that moment, I said, oh my God, if I allowed myself to be present with this, what did I miss? I missed having somebody to turn to, not during the tough times with my 1, 3, 5-year-old. It was when they did something delightful and I had no one to turn to share that feeling with. So I grieved my missing that and not having had that in that moment. I cried for 15 minutes and just felt it and then let it go. And then I realized I could be open to the possibility of raising a stepchild, because then I might have that experience and I could give myself that gift. In the end, that's not what happened, but I was open to it. I just didn't put the walls up of, oh, hell no, which we've all had that in dating. There's a story behind that to release, so that we say no from a connection place rather than a barrier. That's not for me, in a vulnerable place, an honest, authentic place. And to say no, thank you, with heart, with somebody, and with love, right? That's what this is about.
And we're growing into other experiences. Now, you shared with me, I knew because I've seen it on social media, but you shared with me this almost a year-long relationship that you're in, and how different it is because you did the work. So share with us that, like, give us an idea of some of the things, because I do ask people, oh, share a tip or a tool. So give us an idea of what you did, some of the work you did.
Absolutely.
But we just want to see the transform and hear about this great new experience that you're also having, because it's different from what you've ever known.
And I want to say, everyone putting their hands on their hearts and closing their eyes, you are more powerful on who and how you attract someone and people and experiences into your life than you are really giving yourself credit and worth for. You are. Little nuanced shifts that I made were what changed things. If I hadn't have done and been me, being the person I was differently with him, by the vulnerable actions I took, being in committed action to my vision and speaking my truth, even and especially when it was scary, when I didn't know how I'd respond. I took a stand for me in a feminine and vulnerable way that were worth words about who I was without it. There was no judgment on him or what he might say. But anytime he would say something that maybe in a past version of me, I might have anxiety about and want to leap on and like, about, everybody's got that energy, fire, protection energy.
Mhm.
Instead, I would see it as an opportunity, like the crack in the relationships, like a little sliver of an opportunity to be vulnerable and honest and go in rather than lean back and try to escape. So one of the examples was, we were having a great makeout and, he just said, and guys are really present to the moment. So we future trip, we past freak out, but men are very much now, because that's just like hunters, that this is the prehistoric brain is in the now. And he was saying when we made out, he just said something like, gosh, I really wish I could take you home. Well, we were on date like 8 or 9, and I was committed to me, knowing what my standards were, that I wasn't going to sleep with somebody until I was in a committed relationship. Been there, done that, had lots of fun in my old times, but I was like in a new place. I didn't want that. An old version of me could have jumped all over that, judged him, criticized, made him wrong. He was just being a feeling person and emoting. How great if have a man emote to you, God. And I just leaned in and I go, I really love that. I love making out with you. And I am choosing not to sleep with anybody until I'm in a committed, exclusive relationship. And I stopped talking. It was me sharing my preferences and imparting who I am. And it gave him a chance to think, to be in it. And I didn't have to have any response. Like it was just me standing in me. He could have taken days, he could have taken hours, whatever. He did come back in that conversation. And the thing I was not ready for was, well, what does being in an exclusive and committed relationship look like to you? How do we get there? I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
Which is a wonderful
You were
thing.
still having fun.
He's like, what's the roadmap to your heart? Because that's what really real men of merit,
Beautiful.
Quality men you're equal. I call them the noble masculine, the regalness that you want the roadmap to your heart and are asking you because they want to know how they can win at this. Because they win it. They want to win at things. They want to win your heart. They want to make you happy. And I was like, well, I don't know yet. I'm not sure even if I'm ready. Like that was the reality. I sat for a minute and said, I don't know if I'm ready for exclusivity yet. We've only dated for 2 months, 8, 9, I get to know you better. And he said, well, when you know, let me know, because this is what I desire. And then I leaned in even further, because this is where my denying my truth to me, why courageous conversations first with ourselves is so critical. Radical, authentic, audacious honesty, audacious authenticity with yourself. I had to get real about what did I want. I'd been married twice. Oh, I was making up stories. I want a life partnership. That's fine. Yeah, I'm new. I don't need like this traditional world. No, the truth is, I love being married. It seems ridiculous by the world standards. Like, why would you get married a third time? That seems so risky. But in my heart of hearts, that's what I desire. And when I got honest with me about that decision in my heart, that standard for me, not even in dating yet, the type of men showing up changed. Because I was aligning with what I actually wanted. That small denial had been keeping away great men from me. I was not able to see it through my masculine shield, this filter I'd been seeing things through. So it's really getting into that audacious authenticity, courageous conversations to your heart, and letting yourself unlearn things. And just that like what I said before, when it's significant but it can be small, that was significant but small for me. And then we dated some more, and then it turned into it was Mother's Day, and I was hanging out with my family, and all I thought was, I'd really love for him to be here with my family. I think he'd get all. And I went, this is ridiculous. I'd like to, let's go for it. Like now I was in it. Like it was only a few weeks later, but I was in a place to sit and feel feelings and be connected and lean in. And so from that point forward, it's just been amazing. And it's been easy. Now we've had authentic, tough conversations. I've definitely said things. He's been honest with me about things he sees and mirrors for me, which I love. And I say to him, that's hard for me to hear. And I'm glad you thank you for being so caring enough about me to tell me the truth that you see, your truth you see, so that I can work with that. I had a huge history of defensiveness. There are still moments it's there. I get to unfurl it, and he's helping me learn and see me better.
It's
And
a
that's what we do. We
relationship.
grow together,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
and we're having fun, and there's a lightness and ease. Even we come from the conversation of best intentions. And that's because we've both done the work to not bring old shit into this new thing. Right?
Don't bring it into the new. I love that.
Do it.
And that's really the truth, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we all do to a point, but if you're leading with that, that's the wall, the protections, the things you don't, you're leading with fear. And so fear meets fear and anxieties, and then you're both coming in as wounded kids. That old childhood, whatever, might be your story, might be your thing, might be your reasoning and stuffing of feelings, or whatever is the protection you created from something in your childhood that's still running the show for you. And we get to release that. And the thing is you get to get in touch with that feminine side while still being able to preserve the powerhouse nature that you are. It's about harmony. It's about bringing back into balance. That it's like the masculine is just so big. You just gotta, okay, bring it down here. Let's bring this in. So we have two pieces to the heart that are equal. And we get to flow between them like the chambers of, I'm just thinking this, like the chambers of blood in your heart goes back and forth.
Yeah.
In and out of all the chambers. It's connected.
I love that. That's really, really beautiful. There's something very powerful when woman, man, it doesn't matter, has done the work and can say, wait a minute, I'm the common denominator. Whether it's choices, whether it's, also something I've had my eyes opened up a lot on this series. You know me, I've had so many shows, it's crazy. I used to do 3 and 4 a year. And then radio and stuff like that. So, and I do the work, but for me, and I spoke about it a little bit on another show, interviewing somebody. My husband and I have been together 12 years. We've been married. It'll be in June, it'll be 10. And we have spent time away from each other because I've kicked him out. The last time I did, I just said it was after the pandemic, the first year. And I'm like, go find yourself, go to Miami, go find yourself. You love, the work you were in before, go be a diver again, go underwater, be who you are. And he was there every single day for me, every single day. And I was with him on the phone or Skype, or not Skype, Zoom, whatever, FaceTime, because I love this person as a human, one of my favorite people. But I didn't want to be with him as a wife. And I did some dating and I told him and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't care because I was done. And I made a commitment to myself that when I get into my next real relationship, it's going to be a commitment. It's going to be something that's really powerful. And I looked at him one day, a year ago almost. I looked at him and everything, the illusions all melted away. And I'm like, you're the one that was intolerant. You're the one that held up the shields to keep him away. I'm going to get all weepy here. And in that realization, I was able to open my heart and we're back together and have been. It's been really beautiful. What I'm picking up from your story that led me to share that is, as we recognize who we are, can face it lovingly about ourselves without judgment, we move through so much faster, and greatness can come. Deep love can come.
Gosh, there's so much to that, Mia. I think too, and we talked a little bit about this when we first were chatting before the show started, is there's, whether we're go-getters or whatever, there's this desire to fit in. Mm-hmm. And where else, when we are pining and aching for love, like it's a pain for love, right? Outside of ourselves or with another person, there's some sort of desire to fit in, and we're seeking it from the external other person. I mean, talk about the ultimate feeling of fitting in if you're trying to do this in this disjointed way. Is, oh, I'm finally loved, like the movie stars love, which by the way, most of them are unhealthy if we really look at those movies. But here we are. And when you let those illusions drop and you've done the work, and there's always more. And every relationship brings something new and an evolution. Like you're saying, you've done this work for a long time, and there was still, it was right. It was significant. It wasn't big, but it was significant to release those illusions and have a little more inner belonging to go, oh, I was still doing some seeking outside of myself. Oh, crap. And you don't have to say, oh, crap. You just get to go, there it is. I'm still human. Gosh, I'm still human doing human things sometimes. And it's about catching it sooner with better tools and resources so that our mind doesn't reason and can bring our feminine connection with heart and play and feeling in balance with the tools of reason and masculine and energies forces there. So we're a whole human in this human experience, and love. Oh, it's so amazing. And it gets to be bigger than you've ever dreamed. I think, I have no doubt from what you're describing, when you dropped this, you saw this person as more than you'd thought before, because you allowed yourself to see.
It's been incredible. I just have to say, it's been incredible. I've known that he's been my person, and so amazing, but I would fight with him, and that was me mimicking my childhood, where my mom would say, we're star-crossed lovers, we can't be apart. Well, that meant that for her, that relationship, every day they fought, every night they fought. My life was disrupted because they fought all the time. And I brought it into this beautiful, spiritual, human, loving relationship. And I didn't have as much peace as I wanted. And I would point the finger, it's you. And then all of a sudden I'm like, it's me. I did that. It's where everything broke away, and the allowance of love just flooded in, and we get along so well, literally. And if one of us gets a little bit agitated, we stop and just say, what's really going on here? Let's look at this. And it's just different. And I can see that from your experience that I've seen. I mean, I'm not with you guys hanging out, having all that fun, but I can see that there's a magic there, right? And one of the reasons why I thought that this show was so important to do is because, and I've learned on this show from interviewing my colleagues and love people, first Ariel came on, Ariel Ford, started talking about turning your mate into your soulmate, which is one of her books. And then some other people were talking about turning your relationship into a soulmate relationship. And I'm thinking, well, that's a missing piece from my work that I never even thought about. Instead of teaching, oh, there's a soulmate out there for you. I'm sorry. There's 100 soulmates out there for you, because we have so many beings on this planet. But creating that beauty within a relationship the right way is really, that's it. It's magnificent. You're experiencing it. I'm experiencing it. And we deserve it. And so does everyone else. And so does everyone. Yeah.
And it's there. It's literally learning what those significant but smaller things, because if you're here, you've probably had therapy and done the work, and you're like, why am I still not? Because there's a few small things, yet significant things, that are the barriers, that you're almost there. Trust in that. And there's nothing wrong with you, or it's not some deep thing, because you've done that work. I've no doubt the people you draw, Mia, would be in that category. So that's who I have too in my world. So trust that you just get to pull back, like you say, there's an illusion still just lingering that gets to drop. So once you drop that filter, you're going to see the people around you differently. Reality doesn't change. It's our perception. That's what
it's our perception. Just like, and we love you, but I'm going to say it, just like our clients, you guys that are saying, I've been doing this work for a couple years or for years or my whole life, and I'm just not finding the right person or people, period. And I want to say that I've realized also during this last couple months that it's not just fear. it's an illusion. It's a mystery. You're freaking yourself out. Let's just use simple words. You're freaking yourself out. And when you relax into what your possibilities could be, that's where it's a game changer, isn't it? Totally different.
Absolutely. And that's where you make it fun and playful again, where it's, I did it for 5 years thinking, why am I not figuring out? I've done all this. I have all these tools. I teach, I did the same kind of story making. And then I just stopped and went, it's not about that. And he actually had to go through things in his life to be at the match time for me. Like, it really wasn't about more that I had to do.
Yeah.
Time just had to pass for us to meet at the right place and right time in our lives.
Yeah.
So nothing was wrong with me. Just like, oh, shocker. That was my old story.
Yeah. Yeah. It's powerful, and we can see that change, that shift, that transformation. And it really is a shift of awareness. So lighten up yourself, everybody. And just allow that love to flow.
Yes.
We are out of time, but we're gonna still close up here. See, all the good ones just go super fast. They're all good conversations, but they just fly by. So how we have credits at the end, but I still like people to share who how to reach you and also your free gift.
Yes. Okay. So I'm at Kate at katehoustoncoaching.com. And that's Houston as in Whitney or Texas, whichever you prefer.
Yeah, love it.
And I'm on social media. It's easy to find me out there. And send me a message if you're interested in getting to know more about me. I'd love to support you. Or if you have a question, or if you just had an aha from this that you'd like to share that you connected on, because that's what this is all about, is connection and connection to our hearts. So I want to share about my free gift because this is really fun. And I was so glad you were up for this. This is the first time I've ever offered this as a gift. And it's really about feelings. During the pandemic, and I dated through the pandemic, I was committed to my vision, an unwavering commitment. I was out there in blankets in the dark of cold winter in Portland, Oregon, where I live, because you were only eating outside, right? I brought my own blankets with me to dates. I mean, I was still committed because I knew everything would teach me something, every person I met, every nuance. And so in the pandemic, I really got to get in touch with me. I spent a lot of time on my own, as a lot of us did. And I decided I was always a poet. I've always liked writing poetry. So I wrote poems about dating, from both tender-hearted spaces to being really pissed off and annoyed and agitated about certain things, and all the in between, because I think we all feel these things. And then I thought, well, how can I make this fun? Not just a poetry chapbook, but I made it into a coloring book with mandala designs, so you can color along with it and be playful. And it's something you can download as a PDF, enjoy the poems, print out some of the sheets for color sheets, and just play with the color sheets and be present with yourself and your feelings and your own feelings around dating. And hopefully you get a good laugh, because it's pretty raw. Some of them are very tender and sweet and in a moment. Other ones are just like, come on, like, I can't believe this. We've all been there. And then other ones about standing in your power, standing in your standards and what you will and will not put up with anymore, from a place of connection and truth from yourself, rather than I'm annoyed about this out here with you.
Yeah.
So my collection is called Confessions of a Dating Addict, because that's what I felt like during the pandemic, swiping left and right, addicted to my phone. Maybe some of you can feel that connection, and please feel free to download that. And
I think that's awesome. I think it's really wonderful. What would you, I don't think I asked you what I've been asking everybody as a question to open, because we just jumped into it. I didn't ask you. I feel so silly. What is love to you?
What is love to me? Ooh, such a good question. Love is expansive, forgiving, compassionate, and all-encompassing and abundant. It's there, waiting for you. I believe one of my poems, I said something about, knowing my love was waiting for me to catch up with me. so that I could see my worth
Really
in being
powerful.
that way. So the thing he already saw and I wasn't ready to see yet, that you have power within you. This love power is within you. And it's just figuring out those last things, those significant things, but are the final barriers.
Mm.
They're right under your nose, and you know, everybody else can see them. They're not hidden from everybody else, but just you.
Yeah.
Is that like
The mystery.
the sinister mustache of disbelief, right?
Yeah. That's a really beautiful essence of love. Beautiful. So what would you like to leave us with before we say goodbye?
I would just say, you know, keep going, keep leaning in, trust yourself, know that you've taken leaps and chances and stepped into the unknown in many places of your life. Go for it in your heart. Do the extra work, those last bits, those last steps, those last connection pieces to really support you in unraveling the last things. You're really connected with that inner belonging and a level that's so peaceful and full of grace that you can do nothing but beam outward who you are, an unwavering clarity, so your man recognizes you and comes for you.
And that's very feminine the way you said that. I love it. Thank you so much, Kate, for joining us. It was really lovely. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mian, for this whole entire series. It's a treat for everybody.
Thank you. And thank you all. We'll see you again soon.